Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so, as we know, the NBA is off season right now. Summertime is giving us a whole lot of nothing, and honestly, content is coming slow. But if you guys know me, I'm an NBA head to a degree, even though I don't follow the game as closely as some real, true analysts do. So I don't want to rank myself too high in regards to this, but I got my own little level when it comes to understanding the NBA, and because of it, I can talk about it a lot, and I do. And on this particular day, I was just sitting here looking at Azubuike's contract here. He went to the Suns on a two-way deal, which I think is another good pickup for the Suns. But seeing him go there took me down a rabbit hole in regards to the Utah Jazz, and that is who we're here to talk about right now. And the reason why I want to talk about the Utah Jazz is because I have a theory about them, and that theory is that they are a contender. But I'm not sure if it's going to translate to that. Um, but I'm not. Here's the deal. This is what I'm looking at. They have a very, very, very deep team, and they've picked up some very talented big players, so that can shoot the ball very, very well. And that's what I'm looking at here. When you consider Luka Samanic, who is a player that I saw break out at the end of the year last year. He's 6'10", and you look at Bryce Sensabaugh, who they picked up in the draft, who is also, I believe, either 6'10", but the thing about Sensabaugh is he's huge in size. He's like 240 pounds or something of that nature, and is a pure scorer. Those two players are huge and pure when it comes to scoring the basketball. Then you add Taylor Hendricks to that mix, who plays defense, who will likely be coming off the bench because of the depth of their forward position. And then you look at guys like Simone Fontecchio, who also broke out the end of last year. I just look at that team and I say their second unit is serious. Colin Sexton or THT or Chris Dunn, those talented guards that they have there. I don't know who they're going to use to come off the bench. Obviously, Keontae George is somebody I'm high on. Ochai Agbaji as well. I'm looking at their roster and I'm honestly wondering if it's going to translate to them being as good as I think they could be. Because on paper, with the addition of what they've brought to them in the draft, Sensabaugh, Hendricks, and George, coupled with Collins coming in, retaining JC, and that's Jordan Clarkson for those who are not familiar. Obviously, Lauri Markkanen coming off an all-star season. Clearly, he's going to be going in with some momentum. THT and the level that he showed last year, coupled with his experience winning a championship on the Lakers, even though he played like a game or two. I'm wearing the shirt, by the way, for those who wondering, the Lakers championship shirt. But nevertheless, THT is somebody that I think is going to have potential opportunity to have the ball in his hands a little more as a point guard, which I think he could take advantage of with his size. He's a big player at that position. So I just look at them and say, man, they have a lot to like. Obviously, Walker Kessler, one of the best shot blockers in the game, a good rookie who stretched the floor pretty well for them last year. I just don't see too many holes in their roster, man, when you're aware of the level that a guy like Luka Samanic can actually play at, and considering he's probably in the second or third unit of this roster. You think of the level that a guy like Taylor Hendricks is expected to play at as he continues to go through the process of having to play behind guys. It's like their bench is going to be coming in, getting leads or getting them back into basketball games if for some reason they don't have leads. And with the way that they play, they look to score the ball in ways that, mimic some of the teams that have scored in the past that have been known for it. I would argue they might have the best offense in the game right now. So you bring in that type of talent and you see the level that Keontae George was able to display in the Summer League. I'm not sure it's not going to translate to them being a really, really good basketball team this year. So, obviously it's the Utah Jazz. Just by way of history, you may be kind of like, I don't know. In the West, obviously, given the fact that we have so many teams in the West that are solidified, contenders, you would think that maybe they would just fall into the mix. So I'm not saying that they're going to be the best team in the league or nothing like that, but I think the way you have to measure the Western Conference this year, you got to look at the records and kind of just throw them out the window. It's more so about, can you be in that top 10, so to speak, and make the play-in tournament, make the playoffs, and if you do, you're going to have to fight tooth and nail to get through it. And that's pretty much what I expect the Western Conference to be. It's not going to be about can we win more games than everybody else. If you hover at the top, so be it, but I expect nothing but parity nothing but parity, probably from 3 all the way to 12, just like last year. And if Utah is what I think they are going to be, they're going to definitely be in the mix and maybe um, able to fight for a home court opportunity, uh, getting that top 4. So I don't know if Utah can be that good or not. It's so many teams, in the Western Conference: the Suns, the Lakers. Um, Obviously, people are going to put, you know, Minnesota. Some of the, a lot of people expect Anthony Edwards to make a big jump. OKC is a huge team to consider. The Rockets and the moves they made. Memphis, obviously. It's just a lot in the Western Conference. Golden State, a lot of people don't think they're going away. Sacramento, obviously, still around. So, like I said, if you can just be in the mix, then that's really what it's about. It's not necessarily, you know, any real, expectations for anybody to actually rise to the top at all. But I know my Lakers are also in the mix, of course, and I like our depth to go up against anybody. Um, but I look at this Utah Jazz team, and I'm just intrigued by not only their roster, but the style of play that they're going to play and the size that they're going to be able to put on the floor. You consider Lauri Markkanen's going to be playing some 3 this year. John Collins comes in. It's just a lot to deal with, and they can all shoot the ball. So, for me, I was wondering if they were going to have an answer at the point guard position, but they have plenty of point guards on this roster. They really do. Keontae George, THT, Chris Dunn, Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson, they all can play the point guard. Now, are you happy with them playing the point guard? It depends. That's the thing. All of those guys, you can argue, either are not the answer at your starting point guard, or actually players that should probably not be considered point guards. But they all are able to run the point if you need them to. And I guess that's the moral of the story there. I think Simone Fontecchio is also considered a point guard, but I'm not really certain about that. I don't know. But all in all, I'm looking at the roster, and I really like what I see. Jarrell Brantley is a guy whose name I'm familiar with. Micah Potter is somebody they picked up, I believe, in the draft. I'm not so familiar with. But Johnny Juzang is a guy who did some good things last year with minutes given. So I just look at their roster and I understand exactly what they have. And with a guy like Luka I had his name right, Samovic, I think it's the way you say it. I would love to see him get out of that situation. I just think his level goes much higher than the role that he's now going to be in, and he was on the verge of actually really contributing. So I think a team should probably try to go get him out of there, honestly. Luka Samovic. Because if you have a role, team like Cleveland, team like Philadelphia, the Clippers, they should probably be targeting a player like that. They really should. Because at this point, I just think it's addition by subtraction. That's exactly what brought me to the Utah Jazz, because I'm like, oh, they lost out to Buki. Okay, that opens up the front court a little bit, because that's really where the issue lies. You just don't really have minutes for Bryce Sensabaugh and Taylor Hendricks to really showcase what they're going to be. But I think that's okay, because they're obviously rookies, so you can give them that opportunity, not having pressure on them. Plus, with a deep team that's likely going to be winning games, it's good to get their career started this way. A guy like Keontae George, I'm not going to be surprised if he takes the starting point guard position from everybody else. I just think he's going to be that talented of a player, and he's coming in with a chip on his shoulder. If he's competing for Rookie of the Year, it wouldn't surprise me at all with what I saw. Don't want to overstate the Summer League, but that is a kid who's definitely intent on proving that his weaknesses aren't necessarily anything that anyone has to worry about. So I think that motivation is strong with that kid. So yeah, this is a good team, man. Walker Kessler, I would not be surprised if he leads the league in blocks this year. It would not shock me at all. It's a very talented defensive player who I think has some offensive game as well. So as he continues to go into his second season, he's a player I have no questions about at all, so long as he's healthy. And another guy that's on this team that people may forget about is Kelly Olynyk, who should probably also be targeted by a team who could use some depth, because really he just doesn't have as much of a role on this team this year. If any of those kids step up and play like they're more than capable of playing, so it's going to be tough for him to keep his minutes if this team, if any of those kids really do that, and it's possible, especially with the level that they do go to. Keontae George, Taylor Hendricks, Bryce Sensabaugh, you're just going to want to see them on the floor. That's what I understand. Agbaji, you're going to want those players out there. And John Collins, of course, signing the big contract. He's just a player who I think a lot of people have forgotten what he can do as well. He can really score the basketball, and you consider some of the things that are going to be needed in spacing the floor. I really like him in the corner hitting that shot. Um, Things are going to be much easier for a guy like Lauri Markkanen in that offense when Collins out there, and then guys like Taylor Hendricks checking in. It's just going to help with his defensive ability specifically. And I think that's also what's intriguing to me is Taylor Hendricks coupled with Walker Kessler. Those guys are extremely gifted defensively. So that front court is not to be toyed with at all. And you consider a guy like Chris Dunn, THT, who also should, in theory, turn into a solid defender and should be kind of rounded into form in year 4. So this is an interesting team. Interesting team. I don't know. You know, obviously health should tell the story with all teams. But they're going in healthy as anybody. And they absolutely smoked the draft. They smoked it. They walked out of there with 3 of the best players in this draft, if you ask me. So, yeah, Bryce Sensabaugh, Taylor Hendricks, Keontae George. I don't think too many teams did a lot better than that. And so that's what you got to say about the Utah Jazz. They already had a fantastic team without all of that. And so you consider the picks that they have as well, getting Rudy Gobert out of there for like 5 first-round picks or however many it was. They are one of the more exciting teams in the NBA right now when you consider what they're capable of doing with their asset class. So, yeah, if they want to go get a Dame Lillard or a James Harden, it should not be difficult for them to do that. If they want to trade for somebody even better than that, they have the assets to do it. So that's what is really interesting to me about this Utah Jazz team. And even if they don't have the greatest year this upcoming season, their future is blinding. It's absolutely bright. So that is pretty much what I wanted to say there. That sums it all up for me, man. Obviously, you guys know what team I represent. Grew up not liking the Jazz very much, but this era's Jazz is going to be very fun to watch. And I will be looking forward to seeing where they actually land. Not making any predictions at all. It's far too early for me to even have enough knowledge of what's even out there. There's still some very key players that have yet to sign with teams. Could determine what happens out here in the Western Conference or the East, depending on where they go. But all in all, the Utah Jazz are a team that I think looks pretty good. Could use some more addition by subtraction, but ultimately their talent level is very high. So that's pretty much what I got to say, man. My name is BDL44. I thank y'all for watching. Wow.